Hello, and welcome to the Cabin Boy Knits Woolcast, coming to you deep from the Canadian forest.
This is Christopher.
And this is the other guy.
Jamie.
Spring is in the air, I can smell it, and it's definitely had an influence on what we're going to talk about this episode.
And what are we going to talk about?
Wool, 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 lots of wool talk.
And we're going to talk about what's in your dye pot.
Marigold. And we're going to talk about Kiviot.
We're going to talk about my knit-along and my choice of sweaters.
And we have some great recommendations for you on indie dyers from across the pond.
So we're going to talk about Knit City and spring projects.
Yep, and we've got a collaboration as well. So sit back, grab your favorite drink, and we'll tell you our stories. Okay, you got your drink. What are you drinking this episode?
I'm drinking the same that I always drink. A yummy latte, coffee, freshly ground beans with maple syrup.
Oh, I didn't know if you were going to put the maple syrup in or not. We are down to this much maple syrup, and we're right at the tip of maple syrup season.
And of course, we've mentioned it before because the Sugar Shack is just up the hill. I've passed it like 3 times with the open sign and cars there. I almost stopped there.
What? I didn't think the open signs are they open yet?
Well, there have been cars there, and I was going to stop without you. I was going to get my own taster test and then go back with you and go again.
Okay, well, you should double dipping.
In disguise.
You should double dip that for sure.
Well, I would have worn one of
But
mine.
we're known as the boys, so whenever we go there, yes, the boys are here. So we definitely have to get some maple syrup. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
You notice that I don't have a vase with flowers in it.
No, but you have something else there.
I have something else. This is marigold.
Okay. Smells nice.
I actually don't mind the smell. It doesn't smell quite as nice as the outdoors, but it's
like dead flowers.
they're dried flowers. And so why don't we jump into that right away?
Sure.
Marigold. Okay.
You brought it up.
I brought it up.
It's right there.
It's right there. So these are dried marigold from last year, and last week I did a how to dye yarn with marigold. And normally on the how to, I talk about how to dye yarn with whatever it is I'm dyeing with.
Really?
Really. Imagine that. But this time I thought what I would do is do that, but also there were 2 things I wanted to add to it. One of them was, what do you do if you have your dye pot and you put in different bases? And so by bases. So like a base, like a merino, that's a merino base.
Oh, the base.
Or so like a different sheep fleece, basically, or a different yarn. And so I put in marigold, and I put in blue-faced Leicester, BFL, and I put in BFL/Masson.
Okay.
And I didn't really appreciate this until the feedback that I read afterwards. But like I was so much into what's going to happen, what it's going to look like, and I didn't appreciate the fact that you put all this yarn in and it comes out different colors. Like I just
you added a few other variables to it too, didn't you not?
To one of them I did. Yeah, let's talk about that one. So I was reading when I was preparing for this, I was going through some research papers, as one does when they're going to be doing a knitting dyeing tutorial.
I thought you'd just been winging it this whole time.
No. And I found a very interesting article out of the Czech Republic.
Oh.
And it was basically a paper that stated whether or not it was challenging the idea of whether or not you need a mordant when you're dyeing with marigold.
Right.
And so the reason that you need a mordant is you need an agent to bind the color to the yarn, and that's what a mordant does. And so I thought, why don't we try that during the how-to video?
Try a mordant.
Why don't we test the theory?
With or without a mordant.
With or without a mordant. And so that's what I did.
Okay.
So.
And what happened?
So I did the test.
Uh-huh.
I put it in the dye pot, took it out, washed it, rewashed it again.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see if there was a significant difference in color.
Oh.
And so it's actually these two.
Okay.
There's a very slight difference in color.
Yeah.
Very slight.
I mean, we could barely. I mean, I could see it here from here. So.
Yeah. So the question is, so the one that is more saturated in color has alum in it as a mordant. The one that is less has no mordant at all.
Well, this color is almost just a little more vibrant. That one seems a little more flat.
Yes.
Even.
Yeah. I think that's a very accurate description of it.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see the difference.
So the question is,
can you see the difference?
So the question is, do you need a mordant or not? The answer is it depends. It depends on whether or not you want to have this color or this color. I will also tell you
the
though.
answer would be, well, either or you don't, because there's no.
Well, the answer is that you don't
could do either
technically
way.
need a mordant when you're dyeing with marigold, tageté marigold, to be specific. However, that's only measuring the color fastness of it. So. And so what you're testing is how long will the color stay? Will it wash out? Will it stay on the yarn? I washed and washed and washed and washed this, and it still came out like this. So I'm very happy with that.
And I think it's, well, part of it I think I read. Now, is it the flavonoids? Is that what they call it? Where the color comes from?
Yep.
And the marigold is super high in those with the orange yellow.
Yeah.
Which I know another little tidbit about why and how they use that color. So I think it's because it's such a strong flavonoid that you don't need the mordant.
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
For everyone. So if it's like that and it doesn't you don't need mordant, why aren't more people using it? And it is actually used in foods. The coloring is used in foods, not in North America, but it is over in Europe.
Yes.
It's only approved for, I think, animal food in
Poultry feed.
Poultry feed.
I read.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And in Europe, they use it, think about it, because I mentioned orange yellow. So they use it in things like pasta, margarine, ice cream, and mustard.
Yeah.
To get that yellow color. And it's got one of those numbers, color number, blah, 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 which, not approved in the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Yeah. So then if we go back to as a fiber, you're using it on fiber and clothing, why isn't it used more without a mordant? And so what I want to do is I'm going to take these two, I'm going to put them outside and leave them outside for a month and see whether or not the light fastness has any impact on it. So basically the sun, when the sun hits it, is it going to fade the color at all? And so and then we'll see.
I'd be more worried about the birds.
I forgot.
Remember the springtime?
The springtime, I forgot about that.
Yes.
Well,
what do birds do in the springtime? They build nests.
They build nests.
They
build nests and they steal my fiber.
Yeah, we're like, look at those wonderful little birds out there on the clothesline, and he's got his brand new, just freshly washed. I'm like, yes. I'm like, what? This was last year.
It was last year and the year before.
I was like, what are those birds doing? It's like, what? They're plucking and plucking and plucking away at the yarn. I was like, what? I ran out there and had to shoo away all these birds. Yeah. And sure enough, the yarn was plucked out.
The nicest bird nests ever around here.
We talked about that last time.
We did. Silk and merino.
Yeah, the BFL or there's that robin. Oh my gosh. Okay, no. You got to wait till it puts out the merino. We want merino in our high tech nesting this season. So
speaking of which,
they know they wait for him to put out his yarn out there so they go ahead and build something.
But speaking of which, what was on the yarn yesterday when it was up there?
I don't know.
Bumblebees. Bumblebees were all, I did a multicolored yarn and they were all attracted to the marigold and they were sitting on the marigold flower.
You mentioned
piece.
That.
It was hilarious.
I didn't believe me. What are you talking about? I mean, it just started warming up. What bumblebees? Bees are out? Are you kidding
me?
There
aren't any flowers around, so they were attracted to
the color.
Yeah.
And it would be the color because there's no scent or anything, so the bright color.
It was interesting though because I had
videotape that.
I had indigo and indigo, marigold, and
there was some pinkish.
There was
red.
It was madder as well, but the bees love the marigold. This
is true. That's part of why you plant marigold in your garden for that reason.
Yeah.
When you want to be bee friendly.
You want to be
or
friendly.
just be friendly.
So you want, oh my gosh. So, I don't know what to do with that one. Okay. So can we move to the next
Jesus.
piece?
Well, okay. What's the next piece? Marigold? Are we done with
No, we're still talking about Marigold, but I did a series of, see, this was an educational episode or video, the last one on how to, and it was filled with lots of things. It was filled with how to dye yarn with Marigold, and then it was to test whether or not we need a mordant, and then
There was something else?
the other one was throwing in different bases into the dye pot.
Okay. Oh, yes, you mentioned that.
Yes.
And then did you do any afterbaths or anything different that way?
Well, oh my gosh, we'll get to that in a second. No, but I did something else too, which was a secret.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the BFL. Then we had the Merino. This is organic Merino, and it is super soft. It's really nice. And so I put that one in.
Okay.
And here's something really interesting.
Now, are these already in
all in the
different
same
pots?
all in the same dye pot?
Wow.
And this one is BFL and Massam.
Which has a little bit of a gray undertone.
It had, yes, thanks for mentioning that. So this one went in as a light gray. This one was off-white and off-white.
Okay.
And so,
wow, they're so different.
So all in the same dye pot, and it came out different colors. One of the things that I like to do is I like to dye with yarn that is not always white, because you get great texture in this, and it looks really nice.
That is they're all stunning. That's gorgeous. This is so vibrant. I don't think you can get any yellower than that.
You use the V word.
What?
Vibrant.
Oh.
That's a word that you don't usually associate with natural dyeing. And so I'm glad you used that word, because this was a huge surprise to me when I pulled it out. I did not expect the color to be so vibrant when I pulled it out. I thought it was going to be muted.
Okay.
And so I'm glad you used that word, because it was so.
Well,
so
I read vibrant. I read vibrant in the history of Marigold.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
So, and I would say normally goldenrod is my favorite yellow, but but I love, this is a different yellow, and I love the marigold yellow.
You're right about that, because we always talk about the goldenrod being like, one of the best, like, deep, vibrant yellow. But here
Marigold's
we have it with
gorgeous.
Marigold.
Yes, it's really nice. One of the other things I talk about is when we're using fresh flowers, which I did not use. I used the dried flowers and then let them sit overnight. But when you're using fresh flowers, one of the challenges that you have is if you let the dye pot boil.
Yes.
Because then it can often turn to a dull brown.
Yes.
So I thought, I'm using dried flowers. I'm going to let this thing boil. And so I let it boil. So let me step back a second. These were just on a simmer. I did not boil the dye pot.
Okay.
These were done. And I thought, okay, for just something to do, I'm going to boil it. Boil it a lot and see what happens to it. And it did not turn brown.
Okay.
I
remember it being a little more with the fresh flowers. It was a little more of a challenge, I thought.
Oh yeah. No, it's much more sensitive to temperature. But with the dyed flowers, in this case with the marigold, this is the great color that came out of it. And actually, I was expecting this to look like this. I was expecting this color to come out like this, because I've never dyed with Massam yarn before or fiber, and so I was really surprised that it came out a greenish color. I thought it was going to be more of a
it's the
mustard.
undertone though, because you could see that yellow. You could see that yellow in it, but with the undertone, then it gives it a greenish hue. But when the light hits that yellow, you can still see that vibrant yellow within.
Yeah.
But overall, it definitely looks green.
Yeah. So why is it? I did one more. This was just I like to exhaust my dye baths, and so what that means is when there isn't a lot of color still coming out of it, rather than chuck it, I suck it up as much as I can. I try to use it to the last drop.
Yes.
And so I did that on this one, and this I had madder and also the marigold. So the light color is the marigold, and then the orange juice color.
So it's still a nice pale butter yellow.
Yeah, it reminds me of. It definitely reminds me of summer.
It reminds
spring
me
or summer.
It looks like something you could eat.
I know, that's what I was thinking
candy.
too. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So.
Okay.
I have this feeling that you want to talk about marigold.
Well, I could tell you a little bit of history about marigold. You know a few other things too.
Why don't you do that, Jamie? Why don't you tell us about marigold?
Marigold. A little bit of information.
A little bit, yep. Or a lot bit.
Okay, well, I could say that marigold, it was used by the Aztec back in the 1500s, and it was noted in, when we all know the Spanish explorers, in South America. It's native to North and South America.
Can I just say something before you say it? Go on, sorry.
He always interrupts me.
I had to.
Because thought, and now I'm going to have to start.
No, but it's just, they used, okay, this is just a Euro lens history.
Well, I was going there.
You were going there, but they used it before the 1500s because in the 16th century, the Europeans said that the Aztec were using it. The Aztecs were using it way before that.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, sorry.
I was starting my conversation in the 1500s because I'm going to talk about where marigold, the name, came from. And yes, the Aztecs used it, but in the 1500s, I'm talking about Spanish explorers.
Yes, okay.
The Aztec were around long before that.
And they were using it way before the 1500s. I just wanted to make that point clear.
The Spanish explorers, we all know, showed up in the 1500s. That's when it came to their attention.
Yeah, yes.
So they discovered marigold, but the Aztecs had been using it for religious and medicinal purposes for a long time.
Yeah.
But then they brought it back to Europe. So once they brought it back to Europe, Spain, but then they also brought it back to... it ended up in France and also along the northern coast of Africa.
And we're talking about Tagetet as opposed to Calendula.
Yes, because you did get that question in your video, did you not?
Yes, and the interesting thing is a lot of historians, well, I wouldn't call them historians, but a lot of people who are reciting history are confusing each of the histories. And so you're getting a lot of mixed stories because they were both called marigold.
Well, I have a theory, and I'm not a historian, but I'll tell you my theory.
But you're very good at playing a historian.
No, but this is interesting because, I know things.
You know a lot of things.
The thing is, my mind sort of works in this. It's always forever analyzing. So I remember how I count and how I do my math and how I compute. Well, you take this information and it sort of goes through my mind, and then it's like, these links sort of link up, and I'm going, wait a minute, and then I compute, and then I come up with a theory, and this is what I'm getting at. So let's go back to Spanish explorers. They bring the marigold to Europe
with them. Yep.
Right. So then, next thing you know, it's naturalized, and it's spreading all along the northern coast of Africa.
It's spreading like marigold all over the place.
It's naturalized now along the northern coast of Africa. It's in France. And in Spain, they used it, they were big on religion, and to honor the Virgin Mary, they would use the marigold and lay it at the altar, and that was how it became known as Mary's gold, marigold.
Yep.
And it sort of stuck. Now, this is, now when the British introduced it in the early 1600s into Britain, they then called it African marigold, kind of mistakenly, because to them it came from the African coast. They brought it in from there, so they called it African marigold.
Yeah.
And also the French marigold, because it was in France now, so the French marigold, which the British then also called it the Rose of the Indies.
Sure.
Which, because now it had spread there, so the Rose of the Indies. So the African marigold and the French marigold are what's popular today. So it was somewhat brought back to the U.S. Let's say in the African marigold, let's just say this, the African marigold is taller and also have like double varieties.
Yes.
Whereas the French marigold is just the single flower. And so now in the, let's go back to the U.S. or North America in the 1800s, and everybody's gardening. It's that era, the Victorian times. Gardens are, everybody has a garden. Well, some of the flowers were sort of not doing so well. Some of the standards, like, I don't know if it was like nasturtiums or one of those, not doing so well. But they're like, hey, we've got these beautiful marigold. And that became the popular thing. But then that's how they became known as, now they're kind of brought back from there. Yeah. Or they're just, with the French, the British, the Spanish, who are now Americans, they're just commonly known as the African marigold and the French marigold. that's just the popular names for them. The more
Yeah.
popular out of there's probably 50 varieties of marigolds. So then, in the 19th and 20th century, they were just making all sorts of hybrids because they wanted that, they called it the old-fashioned French
Yes.
marigold, which is the single, but then they wanted, more vibrant colors and the double varieties, so they, bred them into what they are today, which is all kinds of varieties of. And also in North America, there is a bit more of a history because the Cherokee used it for medicinal purposes, and also they were the ones that used it as a dye plant,
Yes.
as you know.
Yep.
He was dying to say that. And the Navajo also
But I
used
didn't let you say it.
and the Navajo also used it for medicinal purposes. They used it for things like colds and fevers and stomach problems, and also something else in that one native like herbal book that you have of native plant species.
Yeah.
It mentions it was also used for summer complaints. Now that I couldn't find any history, and I'm not going to make fun of summer complaints because who complains in the summer?
That's right.
But what could a summer complaint possibly be?
If you know what a summer complaint is, we would love to hear about what it is.
I think it would-
other than it's too hot.
Well, maybe like what if it's something like hay fever or something like that? A summer complaint.
I don't know.
Anyway, summer
We'll have
complaints.
to check it out.
And that is where marigold, how we have it today.
And it almost became the flower of the United States, but it lost out to the rose. But there was
Oh.
a big lobbying for it to be the flower of the United States, but lost out.
Okay, well
rose.
that's interesting because in the Ukraine it's also
Yes.
one of their symbols. So it's folk songs and stories and poetry
Yeah.
features marigold. And in places like India and Thailand, they use it in their ceremonies, weddings, for decoration as garland, and also, as you know, in Mexico.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was his chance
The
to
Day of the
speak.
Dead.
The Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
So the Day of the Dead, they also, so they use it, it's found in cemeteries where they scatter marigold over the graves, but it's also, we know it's a big celebration, Day of the Dead, where, marigold prolific in their ceremonies
Yeah.
and in their stories. And they also used it as an herb because they used it as a medicinal tea, and that would be the licorice marigold that they call it,
Yeah.
and it has that flavor.
Anise.
Anise, licorice.
Yeah.
And they use it, and also they use it as a substitute, sort of like tarragon.
Yes,
Because
that's true too. Yeah, they did that.
Tarragon.
Yes.
Because you think tarragon does. I don't like tarragon really. I've used it, very few uses, but I don't quite like that taste. I do like anise, but tarragon has a kind of
Well, we know that.
anisey kind of taste. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, you're all red. Okay, so that
Oh my
is
goodness.
our marigold story. Why don't we jump into talking about Massam?
Yeah, because you mentioned this being, what is it again?
It's BFL, Blue-Faced Leicester, and Massam.
Oh, okay.
So it's 75% BFL, Blue-Faced Leicester, and 25% Massam.
Okay.
So, let's... Okay, so the Massam I'd never dyed with before.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to expect. I told you that I thought it was going to be coming out in mustard and whatnot, but it's really nice. It was wonderful, but I didn't know much about it. And I actually was pronouncing it Masham, but it's Massam.
Yeah, because it's spelled SH and you think it's shh.
Yeah.
But you have overdyed. You have overdyed on gray before, but not that specific.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. So let's talk about the Massam sheep.
Wool. Okay.
And in order to talk about the Massam sheep, we need to talk about the Teeswater.
Oh yeah, because we have.
We have stuff. Remember, a few episodes ago, we bought a bunch of fleece and for the fleece study,
Yes.
Roses and Pearls.
Okay, so you have these.
I'm just going to leave this one on and move the others off.
Okay, because that is the BFL Massam.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so we have, in order to make a Massam, well, Massam, do you want to talk about where it comes from?
Well,
Northern England.
Northern England, the town, is it a town or a city called
I
Massum?
think it's a town.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, should I tell you, we'll talk about this, or I'll tell you a little bit about what I know about Massum.
You talk about that, and I'll sort this out, and I'll
Okay.
be listening to you as well.
Okay, so well, what I know about not specifically the Massum, what I do know, a little bit about the history of the town is that during the time of the Vikings, they populated the area in around 900 AD, and they are said to be the first to bring sheep to the area. And that town now is well known for its Massum sheep.
Yes.
They have one of the largest and finest markets, a sheep market specifically, in the area, if not all of England.
Yeah.
And all through the Middle Ages, after the Vikings, all through the Middle Ages, the sheep and their market has been lucrative to the economy. And even today they have a fair, a sheep fair, every September in the place called Marsum.
Yeah. And they're beautiful sheep. They've got the face of they've got a black face with white on it. They kind of look like our dog. And the wool that's on it is gorgeous as well. In order to make a Massum sheep, you need Teeswater.
Teeswater. Okay.
And can you read that one? So this is
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me read things.
This is the ram. So you need a ram Teeswater, which I'm holding,
And the Swaledale hue.
which is the U,
And what else?
and that's it. So you get the
What
ram.
about the Dales bread?
Well, yeah. So you can either have a Dales bread or, so which one did you have? I wasn't listening to the Swansdale,
Swales.
the
Swaledale.
the Swaledale, and the Teeswater. So the Teeswater is the ram, and the Swalesdale is the U, and you
They're
get
tongue twisters.
and you get the mat. So that ends up with a Massum sheep, which I just had. It's right there.
He's not wearing his glasses again. Okay.
So
yes.
you hold yours up.
Okay.
That's the U. This is the ram, and this
This
is
isn't me. Okay. I'm going to explain just a little step further. So what?
Okay.
So what you mentioned. So the Massum
yes,
is the product of the Teesdale and the Swaledale.
but the Teesdale has to be a ram.
The Teesdale's the ram, and the Teesdale is a long wool sheep.
Yes.
It's got the
beautiful.
fine and long staples.
Yeah.
With a really beautiful luster. Now, the Swaledale, and we mentioned the Dales bread.
Yeah.
Dales bread. Dales bread is also another sheep, but the Dales bread is a combination of the Swaledale and the Scottish
It
Blackface.
is. It is. Yeah.
And so combined, you get the Massum. And the Scottish black sheep. The Scottish black sheep has the black face.
Yeah.
And also there is a Northumberland black face that had a much softer wool. And that's kind of all part of the breed.
Yeah.
Which would explain, and then the wool being this color, I would say, like they try to have, it's usually whitish and cream with the
Yeah.
Swaledale. And so there you have the color and the combination with the black face, and that's why you'd probably have this mixed black-white face on.
Now, to make this story even more complicated,
Uh-huh.
I have also read that not only can you have a Teeswater ram, but you can also have a Wensleydale. So
That part? Okay, where did that come from?
so
I thought it was just all, oh my God, it's so, you can't even keep track. Swaledale, Dales bread, Teeswater, and now you're saying what?
So Wensleydale. I've also read that. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I've read. But everything else I've read, when you go on the Massum website, they talk about Teeswater. They don't talk about Wensleydale. So
Yes.
so again,
But
Teeswater is the ram, and which
Yes.
one is the U?
I don't know anymore.
This one.
I know this. It's the Swaledale,
And
we don't
and
have
from that
the,
you get a Massum.
and we don't have the Dales bread.
But I want to show you something before. I don't want to leave this topic yet.
Okay.
Because you have
But
something.
but the bottom line is they're northern sheep and they're from the area and they interbred them. But then they've just to make it perfectly clear, this is what they're renowned for now in the Massam area.
Yeah.
And at these fairs, they sell over 70,000 of these sheep annually. It's
Wow.
it's very good for the economy, and they've purified and mastered this breed now, and it's a very well known incorporated breed
Yeah.
within the the big picture of
Right.
what do you call that, like purebred sheep.
Yeah.
This is now the sheep of that area.
The
Marsum.
yeah, Massam.
Massam.
In the town of Massam.
Yes.
Okay, so this is, you have to get your glasses on again.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so
There's fluff everywhere.
I wanted you to read this. There's a card attached to it.
Oh, there is.
But we were talking about Massam sheep, so look at that.
Oh, that's nice. Massam.
Read the card, this part first, just to see what it is on the other side.
On the other side. What's there to read?
It's Massam sheep. It's Massam wool. We had a skein and we didn't
Where
even
did you
know.
find this?
Well, you have to read the card.
Okay, I thought that it was Massam, but we were talking about Massam. I think it was.
I have an
special.
excuse why I didn't know we had this
Oh, because-
skein, but I don't think you do.
Well, you thought that we might have
Here.
it along these specific.
Yes.
What do you call these? Hanks.
It's the fleece of the...
But oh my gosh, now I've got fluff everywhere. It's in my eyes. It's just like last time. And so how did you amongst your stock? What do you call it? Your bounty? Your what do you call it?
My bounty, my yarn bounty,
No, what do you call it? Your stash.
my stash.
Okay, you found this. How?
So read the card.
Roses and pearls.
Not that
Oh,
one.
that's. So we would have got this recently
Yes.
because I recognize roses and pearls.
Yep.
Read the card. This card. There's a Christmas tree. Oh my goodness! You're gonna make me cry again.
Oh, that's me.
To the other guy, happy knitting. From Jen at Roses and Pearls. To the other. How come I didn't see this? He's been holding out.
That's
I'm the
not
other guy. I have never seen this before. I've got a gift, and he's been keeping it to himself.
Okay,
since-
my version of the story is you did receive it and you forgot and you didn't tell me about it.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, whatever. But yarn again? No, I would remember that.
So how is that? So we start talking about, we go down this road, the Massam Road, and we have no idea, or we forgot, that we had a skein of this compliments of Jen. So
that's really,
super
that's
nice.
kind of really cool. Now, how did you find it? How did you just come
because I keep everything together.
Oh, because this was from the road trip.
Yes.
So that was all together.
Yes.
And then when you pulled this stuff out, you found this.
Yeah. This was actually sent to us after the road trip, along with
Well,
that.
yeah, because this is got this attached, which
Yeah.
is a little. Oh, that's
So there you
really
go.
special. Well, thanks, Jen. Again, I hope we thanked it the first time around.
So I hope maybe I'll put pictures of all of these sheep up so we can see what they are.
That's really
Because I think our description of them was a little all over the place, and
my
I'm not sure
gosh.
how
confusing.
cohesive it was.
This has a really nice halo, and it's quite soft. It's nice and squishy.
Yeah, it's really nice. So here again, I just want to point one more thing out. So we've got the Massam, and then, so you can hold this up. So this is the Blue-Faced Leicester and the Massam, and that's what that is.
Okay.
So hold
the
this.
combination of these two. But you know what's interesting is you could feel the different textures and softness from each one, and then the end result feels just like the combination of what we feel here
Yeah.
in the individual ones.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
there you have it, the Massam sheep.
And I think that town, if it's that, it says it's a market town, and it's sounds like one of the most successful markets, definitely one of the larger marketplaces in England from way back when. I think that would be almost worth a visit to
Oh,
that
absolutely.
town.
Oh my
or maybe
gosh.
that,
We have to
the annual
go.
fair in September. This year. it
There's
falls
so
on
much
your-
happening in September.
And
And
this is on your birthday this year, but
Yeah.
it's September. I don't think. It's,
well, we definitely have to make a trip to England because there's
oh
just so
gosh,
much to
England
see.
for sure. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking like this little known, like how little known festival. I mean, they have sheep racing competitions.
Yeah, I saw that.
and
That's
they
amazing.
have sheepdog demonstrations, And in the wool competition, they have a natural dye category
That would be
competition.
awesome. That would be. I'd love to enter
Maybe
that.
you could enter.
Yeah, maybe.
If you enter, then we need to go.
That's right. That's what I do. That's what you have to do. You jump into it, you do it, you enter, and then that'll force you to go.
And then when they go, wow, love your colors, and it's like, that can't be natural dye. And they say, we have to meet these boys. And there we are, we show up.
Exactly.
We'll just go. We just like to go places.
Okay, so I want to put the spotlight on you,
You do? Why?
and I want to talk about your KAL.
KAL. Knit along.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about it the last time. So let's grab this. I decided, well,
Do we have anyone to thank, firstly?
yes, of course we do.
We
We
have,
got some ideas
Hundreds of people to thank.
from people.
yeah, there were so many comments about this, and I loved it. It was so great. So thank you so much for
Yes,
all of your
thank you.
feedback. There was a clear winner in
Well, a
this.
lot of people were talking about the same. A lot of people brought up one in the same,
Yes, yeah.
which was
Tin Can Nuts.
what?
Yes. And yeah, and I think there's a reason why.
Is there?
Yeah.
Well, we
There's
watched some videos.
yeah, there's a lot of support. There's a whole support team when it comes to knitting the flax sweater from Tin Can Knits. They've got multiple episodes of on you can watch on
Well,
YouTube.
I also thought it was very similar to your sweater that you just about finished. It's very similar, so you
Yes.
could help me along.
Yes.
But yeah, I watched some videos and got some ideas, and I don't see how it looked easy. It was a sweater, but if everyone says so, that's got to be what everybody's saying has to be. You know, there's truth in numbers.
I think it's great. I think one of there's so many people that recommended it, which
Yeah.
is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, the sweater gives you options there because there's a number of people who have switched it up,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
added stripes on the arms or on the stomach, and it looks great.
Yes, and I've decided because the pattern down here, the pattern that goes down the arm and the shoulders, there was one that I really liked and I thought it looked very cool, which
Yeah.
is what I've decided I'm going to do. With that pattern, I'm going to do like I've seen in one video where you just kind of go to here, so it gives you these sort of really cool design
Yes.
on the shoulders. I know that I want a little bit of a tighter neck, and then I also like, which this one video had as well, is I always like a longer cuff like this.
Yes. Yeah.
At the bottom as well. I like a wider cuff down here. And I think what I need to do, I'm keeping the same colors, which are these. And remember, it's Gotland and Icelandic combination, and there was another combination, and Finn
Yeah.
combination. And two of your colors, this one, which is beautiful blue denim, and I want a hint of pink.
That's a merino, isn't it? This one.
Yes,
Yeah.
a merino. And it's so close to this in the weight, the gauge, what do you call it? It's similar. It'll fit.
Yeah,
right
the
in.
weight is.
The weight.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm still unsure of, because I've seen so many videos and so many ideas of the combination, I'm still absolutely. I know I just want a hint of pink, but what I'm going to do is, I'm giving in and I'm going to go ahead and do a swatch. I was hoping to have it done for this, but I haven't yet. But I'm going to do a swatch.
No, because you have to do a kickoff.
Well, I want to do a swatch because I definitely want to see where I'm going to put the combinations, because all of these go so well together. I know I want the pink in the gray. I might do a cream and blue combination and a blue stripe, and this is just going to be tiny little bit of. So I need to do a swatch to kind of see how.
Are you going
I'm
to draw it
gonna-
out as well, like, and so you can see what the colors look like where?
I'm going to do a swatch, and then I'm going to make up my mind how it's going to go.
Okay, and so then what about the cream? Where's the cream going? 'Cause-
Well, everybody was saying, which
thank you for everyone who supported me, by the way, on this.
everybody mentioned. No, I've not decided, because I wanted cream here and here and here, because I wanted to really stand out. And then people were saying, but that's going to get dirty, because I'm a dirty bird, It's going to just be dirty. And I'm thinking, well, I always wear a t-shirt normally under, and I always think the t-shirt. So I don't know. But then I thought to myself, if I have to do a white collar, it's going to look like, I think it might just look like a religious symbol with that white collar.
Well, it might
up
not
there.
be white for long. I think that's
Well, we'll see where this is going to go. I think what I might do is I might do a stripe,
yeah.
and then
That'll look nice.
striped for possibly the collar or the cuffs. I'm not sure. that will happen as I go.
So you've got a great support system. You have episodes you can watch on YouTube. A number of people have wrote in and said that they would be happy to help. A number of people said that they want to join as well. So this is a true knit along, and I think the updates are going to be on the episodes. So we'll be tracking your progress as we go through the various
Yes.
episodes. And your local yarn shop has also offered to provide you with support. So you're in good hands.
Yep. And I just might have to do like a live little knit along for
Yes.
anyone to join. I think.
Absolutely.
At some point, I don't know when though. Do you start right? Or do you
No,
wait
no,
till
well-
we started, or do we do a kickoff and have others kind
We
of
can
join?
do a kickoff. We can do it.
and then they could join us again later in increments or something.
Yeah, we can do a kickoff and we can have it on Instagram. Jamie does not have an Instagram account. However, Cabin Boy Knits does.
I just started
And so-
using a computer.
No,
laugh.
you're still using the abacus.
Don't even laugh. I've never even downloaded.
No, sorry, you've advanced from the abacus to your fingers.
It's a good thing my grade 9 typing skills came into play, because that was mandatory in our high school, don't you know? And who knew that, 10 years after high school, when computers came out, 10 years after I graduated from high school,
Yeah.
20 after you graduated from high school.
30.
It's amazing how I could type, where, I think people of a certain age who don't type, or I don't know, do young kids just kind of go, "Drrr," and they could just go like this? They don't actually know the keyboard as you would.
No, well,
as a
Geneva
typist.
does for sure, and Devin does.
Yeah, but how did they learn?
Well, they're on computers. Devin's on computer all
Yeah,
the
but
time.
it's very specific to learn how
Yeah.
to type.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, those skills
Either
come
way.
in handy now on that thing, the computer.
Okay, so we're just to dial this back a bit. So we are going to have a kickoff. What I'm hearing is you'd like to have a kickoff. So we'll have that probably on Instagram, but we'll let everyone know about it under Cabin Boy Knits, and we'll have the hashtag Jamie the other guy knit along, KAL. That'll be the hashtag.
Are you going to remember that?
Yeah, no, it's going to be on the screen as we say. Editing can do
gonna put
wonders
that.
on the screen. But I also wanted to mention, so this is your thing. I'm going to be on the sidelines helping you whenever you need it. But I'm also going to be knitting a sweater as well, and mine is going to be different from yours. So I'm going to do the same pattern though.
Right.
Yeah, and so I found my yarn that I'm going to
Okay.
use, and this is
Which is?
this is Gotland and Blueface Leicester, but it's 75% Blueface Leicester and 25% Gotland.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's Aran White.
Okay.
And I don't know the color yet, so I have to figure that out. But I can swatch.
I thought you said you
while I'm
loved that new color you liked that you just did. That
dyeing. Yeah, well,
was
every time
really
I
nice.
finish dyeing, it's always my favorite color.
She has many favorite colors.
So I don't know. I'm not
Many.
sure yet. Maybe something like, I don't know, blue, or I don't know. I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
So there you go. So that'll be
To
fun.
be continued.
To be continued. So just to recap, we are having probably a kickoff
Do we
on.
need to recap? We've talked about it.
No, we
3
have,
times.
because I want to make sure that I understand what you want. So we're having an
Tell me
Instagram.
what I want, what I really, really want.
No, I'm just recapping what you want. So it's an Instagram or some kind of kickoff, and then we will do progress on each of our episodes, and we'd love to hear your progress on it as well. And a number of you said that you wanted to participate, so it'd be fantastic if you
Okay,
participated.
now-
There's strength in numbers
Now I feel like I'm
and
committed.
peer pressure.
Now
That's
feel
why I was
committed.
recapping,
That's
just
why
to make sure you understand
now I'm
the
like
big picture.
committed. I have to start something. I have to commit to it, and I'm supposed to knit a sweater.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, it's spring is in the air, and I'll have the sweater by winter, hopefully.
Absolutely. Spring knitting.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about spring knitting now?
Yeah, let's.
So you've got your sweater going on.
That'll be my spring knitting project.
Yeah, and I really like. I saw a post on, and there's something that I want to work on this summer,
Okay.
which is going to not force me, but I'm going to have to dye a bunch of colors in order to get this project done, and
Okay.
that is the chevron, flying chevron. I think that's what it's called.
Flying chevron.
By Stephen West, and it is a shawl, and it's really
Called the flying
nice.
chevron.
I think that's what it's called. I think that's
Okay.
what they have down there.
And why is it called? Well, I know what a chevron
Because the chevrons
is,
are
but
flying. It is called the.
I think it's because you're flailing your hands. all
No,
over
it's
the place.
called. That's not what it's called. Yeah, that's what it's. No, it's called painting chevrons. painting chevrons.
Oh, so is it similar to the painted bricks?
It is, and that's why it's similar to that, but it is chevron shaped.
And why are they flying?
Because they look like this.
I don't.
No, because when you wrap yourself around it and hold your arms like this, the wind can pick you up and you
That's
can
what
fly.
I'm saying. You're
Yes.
just flailing in the wind. Or when you're sashaying down the street and your chevron
It's going to look awesome.
flailing
It's going to look so
is
good.
floating in the wind.
And I noticed that he has one in various blues,
Okay.
and then he's got one with all different colors. And I'm going to opt for the all different colors.
Okay.
So I'm really excited about that. And that'll be a project that will take me through the spring for sure, along with the sweater.
And any other spring projects? on your mind?
I'm sure there will because they always pop up. So I'm sure there will be.
Okay.
But nothing other than that. That's going to be my focus because I'm going to have to dye a number of colors.
Well, I've got a few things to catch up on, and that'll be my
Yes.
other knitting projects. I mean, when you knit that bowl, it's probably still there, isn't it? I don't know if you could see that bowl.
Yes.
But your bowl, I was supposed to knit the mittens,
Yes, you were.
but then they said they updated the pattern, which I didn't ask for, which I still need to ask for
Yeah.
to get the updated for those, because I have the kit to make those knitted mittens. Oh my gosh.
knitted mittens.
And they look like this.
Yeah, they do look like
So-
that. But they don't have the foam hanging off the side.
Anyway, so I need to do that. I also remember I won that prize at Grey Heron,
Yes.
and that's a pair of socks. I have a lot of things.
Oh
I
my
got.
gosh, you've got a
I
lot
got a
of
donut to knit.
You have a donut.
I've
That's
got a
right.
donut to, not even to eat.
From Thunder
Usually I'm
Bay.
eating donuts.
And
Yes,
but you don't
I've got
knit it though. I think that was felting. That was a felting project.
It's a fiber project.
It's a fiber project,
It's a
yes.
donut I need to do, and there seems to me that there was another one. Anyway,
I'm sure there is.
I'm going to do catch
It's
up.
never ending.
I'm
So
going to do catch up. That's going to be my spring
yeah.
project.
Now I think it's time to update you on some fantastic indie dyers.
Okay. Indie dyers.
Indie dyers. From Indie Untangled Over the Pond.
Okay, over the pond.
Over
like
the pond.
Over there.
So over in Europe. And you were busy doing renovations around the house, and I was attending a festival.
I was working my butt off over there.
But someone has to do the very important work of attending festivals and may or may not buying stuff as well. So I had so much fun at this festival and met some wonderful people, and it's great because I was able to see what's going on in Europe. Some of the great dyers. So I wanted to mention a few of them to you because I really each of them had a unique aspect to them that I wanted to share with you. But some of them I just thought were amazing.
Well, that's the way you always operate. You look at a schedule, look at people, find something interesting. I mean, everybody has something to say and something to show.
Yeah.
So you can't be at everybody's. You can't do everything. So you pick and choose. You know, you do a list
Yep.
as you do, and
Yep.
these are the ones you've
Yes.
grabbed your attention.
Grabbed my attention.
One way or
Okay, the first one I wanted to talk about is botanical yarn. And so what do you think about when you hear botanical yarn?
botanicals, plants.
Plants. Well, yes. And Sophie runs botanical yarns, and she's out of Yorkshire. I think York of Yorkshire. I think that's right.
Okay.
And guess how many plants she has in her house?
What?
Take a guess.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're going to mention that, she's got a jungle, I'm sure. That's why we're talking about
yeah,
it.
but take a wild guess.
No, seriously, I don't know, like 25?
Close, 136.
Okay.
And so the great thing is she's heavily into botanicals, and it touches all
Really?
parts of her business. Yes, she has 136 plants, and she has project bags that were made with plants on them.
Oh,
And
okay.
the yarn that she dyes is oftentimes named after a botanical that she likes. And so I thought that was great. She carried the whole theme through her dyeing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And does she dye with botanicals as well?
She started off dyeing with botanicals, and then
Okay.
she just loves color so much, and there were certain colors that were more difficult to get natural dyeing, so she switched to acid-based dyeing, and so she has because she wanted to get again some of the colors that
Yeah.
was a little more difficult to get with natural dyes, but it was really
So
interesting.
does she use some of these plants to dye with then? Because you could get colors or no, you were saying
she's
you're saying the
inspired.
bag.
Yeah.
The bags she does use the actual plants, does she not?
No.
How do you get those images?
Because you're jumping ahead. That's somebody else.
I'm all confused. See, okay.
We're in England. That is in Denmark. So we're in England first. So we'll finish with we'll finish with the botanicals. So the cool thing about it was she is so heavily influenced by the botanicals, and so that's why when I'm always interested in the naming conventions of the yarn, and so a lot of her yarn is named after some of the flowers that she loves. But I love that. I love that she's very passionate about
And why
it.
I bring different things up is because you're watching things and I'm over there doing something. Oh my gosh, Jamie, come and check this out. And
That's right.
Oh, blah, blah, blah. I saw this, or look at this, and I saw this. And I'm getting tidbits of this, that, and the other.
Yes.
And so I really don't know who's who or what's what
That's right.
when it comes to what you
And
see.
that's why you have
'Cause you
to-
share
that's-
morning coffee, say, oh my God, I saw the best thing. And then the
That's
stories
why,
are all over the place.
That's why you have to watch the Cabin Boy Knits Woolcast, so you can learn about these things.
It's true. It's not until I sit back and we watch it, after the fact that I actually learn a whole bunch of stuff that he's talking about, because this is the first time I hear most of it, really.
Okay, so now we're gonna go over to Denmark. So I got to travel to all of these countries in Europe. It was
Denmark.
great.
I love Denmark.
Denmark is fantastic.
I love the people.
And so Helle she runs the Danish dye lot, and she is wonderful. And she uses I love this. So she uses a environmentally friendly acid-based dye,
Okay.
and she only uses 9 colors. And so with those 9 colors, she creates new colors. But she has 9 primary, if you want to call them primary, but 9 bases of color that she uses. And so I thought that was really good. Her yarn is really interesting, and the base is really interesting. She uses merino, but she also uses a blend of merino and Gotland.
Oh, that would be
And
nice.
from Denmark.
Okay.
And there are only 2 mills in Denmark, and she uses one of them. And so the Gotland comes
Really?
from there. She uses the mill, one of 2 mills, and it's on the same area where Hans Christian Andersen came from.
What do you mean?
So Hans Christian Andersen
Copenhagen.
was born in Denmark.
Yes. The Little Mermaid there in the harbor. I saw her live.
Yeah, and
I touched that mermaid statue.
you did, yes, you did.
She winked at me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she did wink at you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, Hans Christian Andersen was born there, and so this is where the mill is. That's the connection. That's why I brought him up.
The mill in Copenhagen.
Copenhagen is in Denmark, and Christian Andersen was born in Denmark, and this mill is where Hans Christian Andersen was born,
In the mill.
close to the mill. And so, anyway,
Oh my goodness.
Helle has a store in Copenhagen, and she has her dyed yarn there, and her naming convention for some of her yarn comes from Hans Christian Andersen.
Oh, very cool.
So that's where I was going with the story.
Okay.
And you probably popped in when I was watching this, but she has one of them. So she's got The Little Mermaid, which is Hans Christian Andersen, and then The Emperor's New Clothes, which she's standing in front of the National Orchestra building. And then the next one,
Okay.
and then the next one is The Princess and the Pea, and that she's standing in front of the Royals residence where we were in Copenhagen.
Oh, okay. And what do you mean? Like this is
So she's holding her yarn in front of the Little Mermaid.
and is it called the Little Mermaid? Like
Yes, that's the naming convention.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, and then
The Princess and the Pea. I want to talk about that story.
Okay, and we did see the building right on.
We did. We were in all of
that
those
beautiful
spots.
modern
Yes.
building, glass,
Yeah,
right on the water.
yeah.
Yeah. And then yes, the royal residence, of course.
So the Princess and the Pea reminds me of. Do you know what I'm going to say?
No.
Yes, it does. No, our bed is like this high off the ground. It's
gosh.
And so you need a step ladder to climb up to it. Almost, you don't really, but
I
it
have
feels
short
like that.
legs. I literally have to jump up to get my butt up there.
I will say that when I was participating in competing in track and field, before I was a runner, I was a high jumper, And so I'm very glad for that skill because I needed to get into the bed. It's so high. But when I'm way up there, I feels like the Princess and the Pea because it's so high off the ground.
Okay.
Anyway.
I didn't do track and field. I did do long distance.
But you can climb up.
Cross country running. I tried high jump, but I was more of a low jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so her yarn is great. I love the bases, and I was really attracted to the yarn. I think it's beautiful. And her sister is also in the mix. And her sister makes
Okay. Is that what I thought?
bags.
Is that what you
Yes.
showed me? These imprint of
Yes, these
botanical plants.
so her sister forages and then takes the plant and
Okay.
prints it, or it's transferred onto the merino. These bags are gorgeous.
I
They're
did
absolutely
see
be-
those.
And I had an aha moment. I think a couple episodes I was talking about purses and bags and people's fascination for them. Well, I'm obsessed with this bag, or a couple of the bags. I can't stop thinking about it.
That's when you called me over.
That's what I called you over and said you have to look at this.
Jamie.
And so I completely get it now. They're beautiful.
And in hindsight,
It's gorgeous.
Don't you wish, like, had we known this, like, we would have been at her store, but we could go again.
But her store started in 2000 or I don't know when it started, but I don't know I think it was 2
we were
years
only
ago.
there we were there 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was there when we were there, but
Okay.
yeah, we're definitely going to visit the next time. So we've been to England, we've been to Denmark, and we're going to Scotland now. And you missed this one. I can't believe you missed this one. This one is Glasgow, and you have a connection.
I have a connection to Glasgow.
Yes,
I've
and
been a few times. I love the people there.
and so John opened his store in November 2020.
Oh,
And I thought this was great. He's got so much
Okay.
passion around this, and he's wonderful to listen to his dyeing. His dyes, his yarns are really, really nice.
okay.
And his naming convention really interesting. One of them is Clockwork Orange,
Okay.
and so I thought, how is this going to relate to the book or the movie?
I didn't read that. I did not read that book in high school. That was the other class.
Yeah, and so I've been a big fan of Stanley Kubrick and
Yeah, you've brought this
but
up.
also the book as well. I think I read the book in high school,
I was going to say, I think...
but on
is
my
it
own.
in-
But on my because our class definitely didn't study it.
Oh, I'm really. We
Yeah.
had these conversations because in our high school, well, there were 2 English classes, so we had all of these novels, and that's one of them. That was one of the, what do you call it when it's part of the curriculum? Well,
Part of the curriculum.
yeah, that. But that was the other English class, so they had a whole set of books that they read that we did not read, and that was definitely on the agenda. I didn't get to read that book.
Right. So anyway, he named it after. So it wasn't after the book at all. So I'm sitting there. It's after the subway system, Clockwork Orange, because it's a round. The subway line is
It's called
round.
Clockwork
Yeah,
Orange.
but apparently it's the locals don't call it that, but that's what it's called, Clockwork Orange.
Well,
So
what do
that's
they
what it's named
call
after.
the orange loop.
Well, I don't know. You have connections to Glasgow, so you would know. Better
Oh
than
my
I would.
gosh. Okay, well, there's only the subway in Glasgow, which I've been on, is unbelievable. It's one of the oldest in Europe.
It's really cool. We were on it
and
as well.
it's just 2 circles, the inner circle and the outer circle.
But it kind of is like that too, like when you stand in
That's
it.
called round.
Yes.
It's an inner circle.
Did you just say that?
Well, I was going to get there.
Okay.
It's actually, the system is the inner circle and the outer circle.
Yeah.
So it's literally 2 circles. And it is the smallest subway, and it is circular. I mean, the tunnels are circular, and the cars are rounded, and you literally, I am not that tall, and when you're sitting there, you're actually sitting like this because the sides are rounded. And if you're sitting in the front car and you're headed towards that tunnel from the platform, you're like, it ain't gonna fit. Because it looks, you're headed, and it's straight into that hole, and it seems like it just fits. But I have been there, but I don't remember anything about Clockwork Orange. I just know the inner circle and the outer circle.
Right.
Inner circle being, right downtown, outer circle for the outskirts a little bit. Well, just on to say the outskirts of the city. But yeah, that's an event to ride that subway.
And one of the other naming conventions is from Outlander, the TV show Outlander, which
Oh.
I've never watched, but I have heard that the sweaters there are beautiful. So Have you watched it? Outlander?
Not Highlander.
No, it's Outlander. I think it's
Yeah,
Outlander.
Outlander.
Yeah.
No, well, maybe
We'll
I
have to
don't
check it out. No, you probably would tell me if you did.
know. Okay.
Yeah. And then he's got some other ones, like he's got some really interesting ones that are mushroom related. They're not dyed with mushroom, but the naming convention comes around, and they're beautiful,
interesting.
beautiful colors. So definitely check out John.
And do you know-
and I didn't say the name of it. Dystopic is the name of it. So.
Oh, that's a really clever name.
Yeah. Yep.
Do you know whereabouts in Glasgow he's situated?
He's in a store. I don't know where exactly. I don't know. But we are going to put a link on it so everyone will know. We'll put his Instagram account and a link to the store.
And we've talked about going to a sheep festival in Scotland.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, what are the two again? Because one...
Well, one's in
was one-
Inverness. I think one's in Inverness. And then,
No,
and then
that's
there's a
the
little
new
one.
one.
There's a
That's
little
the-
one in Edinburgh.
The one in Inverness is new. We know that one because we... have-
Crystal Seaford.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
a connection to. We've met them in
Yeah.
Fanu, and the organizers were there.
And there's one in Perth as well.
Right.
Yes.
So we do want to... And you've been to Scotland, and
Yes,
I've been to
I
Scotland,
love
but we've not
Scotland.
been together. I love Scotland as well.
I think I mentioned this in another episode, but I've traveled all over the world, and Scotland to me felt like home. I was so comfortable in that country. I just loved it. It felt like, when you put on a glove and it feels perfect. That's exactly, or a sweater and it feels perfect. That's what Scotland felt like to me.
Okay. And I just, people I've met, I just think was such a friendly. I mean, when you travel, it seems like everybody is friendly, really.
Yes.
Glasgow, they have a great sense of humor. I love the architecture and the little bit of history about Scotland. I only know a bit of history about Scotland, but
I don't believe that. I think you know a lot a bit about Scotland. Well, let me get to the last one.
I mean, because of it, it's known for its ports, and I know that it was severely bombed. The ports were bombed because of the shipbuilding and the industry during the Second World War. But do you know that?
Oh my God, I turned
do you
the
know
on
that?
switch
No,
on.
but
The Scotland
Edinburgh.
aren't
Everybody
on
knows
switch.
Edinburgh because Edinburgh. You think of Edinburgh, and it's up there with you think Edinburgh, Paris,
Edinburgh.
London. I know my friend told me it's not Edinburgh. It's like think of it as butter. It's Edinburgh. Think of it as, something like that. It's not Edinburgh. It's Edinburgh. Something like that. I don't have a Scottish accent. So, Glasgow always seems like the secondary city to Edinburgh, and Edinburgh being like a jewel in the
And there
crown.
might even be a yarn festival there.
But Glasgow was, in its day, was that much more of a very wealthy industrial city. I mean, the architecture and the history there, beautiful city. And, over the years, it was somewhat just sort of left. It didn't, let's say, some of the structures that are still there because there wasn't a whole bunch of urban renewal per se.
Right.
So there's a beautiful, the main street downtown, Shopping Street, which is blocked off to traffic. It's beautiful. You could walk forever down that street. Absolutely beautiful. A lot of beautiful architecture. Because it was in its heyday a very rich and historic city.
Sure.
And it's now seems so, if you have not been to Glasgow, you need to be going to Glasgow, if in Edinburgh, if in Scotland.
Are you talking about to me or to the group?
No, you've been to both. So
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. The last one is back to
What were we talking about?
The last one is we're back to England again. And I had mentioned this in the last episode, but I'll give you a little bit more information on River Knits.
I see a dog tail.
I know the dog
He's
is.
always got to make an appearance. Just when you think, he's got to show his
He's
debating about keeping your feet warm again. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so River Knits in the
Okay.
UK, and so
Which river would that be?
it's many rivers, and their naming convention for their yarn is Rivers. And it's Becky and Marcus, and they are wonderful, and they ticked all the boxes for me. Well, they all did, but Marcus and Becky have beautiful yarn. It's really, really nice, and I was just so excited when I saw it. It was absolutely beautiful, and what drew me in was their story, and they live on a boat, and
Okay. Yeah.
so they wake up in the morning from the boat, and
Yes.
they step onto land and walk to their studio.
Okay.
And the studio, they have a store and they teach, and that's their dye studio really. But it's absolutely beautiful stuff, and they have fantastic bases. The bases of the yarn, they use local sheep or sheep from the UK, and it's milled there as well. So it's a great story. But the kicker for me, the excitement was Jacob Sheep.
Oh, you've mentioned Jacob Sheep.
Because I've knit with Jacob Sheep, I've knit hats, I've knit all kinds of things, but I've never dyed with it, and they dye with Jacob Sheep yarn.
Okay.
And so I thought, wow, this is amazing. I have to get my hands on this. I have to dye Jacob Sheep yarn. I'm really excited about it. But they were fantastic. They were so nice. I love their story, and I love their yarn. So I'll put a link to all of them. And I highly recommend that you check them out.
And where are
really
they?
Good. They are in England on their boat. And
Somewhere
what they
in
did,
England.
listen to
Somewhere
this,
in England.
they went to Scotland through the canals,
Yes.
and it was 300 kilometers.
Okay. That's amazing.
How many locks do you think there were that they went through?
A lot of locks.
A lot of locks. Over 200 locks.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
And well,
that's unbelievable. That's
that would
amazing.
be beautiful. We've talked about this before because, we've talked about, if you wanted to travel throughout Scotland, throughout England to Scotland, there are canals throughout, from one end to the other, throughout the central parts of England and Scotland, where you could travel by riverboats throughout. The canal systems are just amazing.
Yeah.
I remember being there, cycling along the canals, and you could just go on for miles and miles. It's absolutely stunning. And a lot of them are just, you just basically, you open and close them yourself, basically. Yeah. There are probably some larger mechanical ones, but a lot of them are just these small locks. You get out, I guess you stop your boat, you get out, you crank it, and away you go. One of the unusual locks that I
had a story about that too.
And one of the unusual locks that I came across, because you have different ones, and this one I thought, how does this work? Because there was a boat coming through, and I thought, riding our bike, and I'm like, okay, well, how do we get across this lock? It was one that
a lock for bikes.
Well, we still had to cross the waterway, but the way this one worked, it was underneath it wasn't an overpass, a bridge overpass. The lock was underneath the roadway. So it was very strange because it came along like this, and basically it dropped. So you dropped like this to go under the bridge, but under the roadway. So it was opposite of what you would imagine when you're sort of doing like steps or grading going up and down. Yeah. This one, it was sort of like you would drive, you go down, drops underneath the roadway, and then you come back up again and carry on.
Wow.
It was very unusual. I thought that was fascinating.
It is fascinating.
And there's so many.
Do you want to hear another fascinating song?
Yes.
Story?
A song? Oh, he's going to tell me this. He's going to sing a song.
Another story. The song will be for another time. A fascinating story. So Marcus and Becky were on their boat.
Yes.
And someone was drowning.
Oh gosh, that's not something I want to come
in a
across.
very dangerous part of the canal, or I guess the waterway. And so they saved them. They saved his life.
How do you know this story?
I know. Marcus and Becky and I are like this. No, she shared this story at the festival. So
okay.
And then the story was in a magazine. So
I wonder if they, with that many locks, you said like 200 locks.
Yeah.
So I wonder who.
Why are you pointing down here? I don't have anything written here on that.
No, I'm saying Marcus and Becky. It's like, no, it's your turn to open the lock. No, you open it. No, your turn. It's like.
Okay, Marcus and Becky, who opens the lock?
Like, whose turn is it, or who does it? Who's got the bigger arms? Or maybe sometimes it might take two people to crank that thing.
Might be. I don't know. But anyway, that would be
a question for them when we meet them, when we go there.
Yep. So you'll have to watch this episode and learn all about the Indian tangled across the pond. But it was great. I had a fantastic time, and I'm really excited to have found some great indie dyers, and I'm even more excited to be able to share them with you.
You just have all the fun.
I just have all the fun. Okay, let's move on to the last thing, which we're going to have a lot of fun.
What are we talking about now?
We are talking about Knit City, which is coming up April 9th, 10th, and 11th.
Okay.
And we are going to be live at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday.
Oh.
on
I'm not up that early.
April 10th. Well, you're going to have to be because you're the booth babe. So
I was
you need
going
to
to
be
say,
ready.
I need time to get babed up. I just don't roll out of bed like this.
And we have a special guest that's going to be joining us as well.
We do? Oh
We
my
do.
gosh, I'm the last. They probably don't even believe me. I am the last to know these things. I really am. It's right there, but I don't. Yeah, what? Who?
Julie Crawford is going to be joining
Okay.
us in
I
our
know who
booth.
that is.
In our virtual booth.
Okay. Oh, she is.
Yeah, you'll still be the booth babe. We're
No,
bringing-
I've met her. She is. I'm not going to say that because I wouldn't say it to a pretty young lady, but she is very pretty.
No, but
I'm not going to be the booth babe.
the reason Julie is there, she'll bring professionalism to our booth
Something
and credibility.
a little less to be desired over here.
No, she's an amazing.
Credibility.
She's an amazing.
Oh
she's an
my
amazing
gosh.
designer. Absolutely wonderful, and so I'm super excited to work with her. And we were supposed to get together last year
We were?
in Montreal,
Yes.
and
Oh,
it was
that's
canceled
right.
because of COVID. And so this year it is a virtual show, and so she's going to release the pattern that day,
The pattern
and
for.
the collaboration we're working with. And
Is it a surprise?
no, we're going to give a sneak peek.
We are.
So here was the assignment. The
Okay.
assignment was, should you accept this mission, Julie? And I handed her a skein of yarn. And the skein of yarn was Kiviot and Merino. And it's
Wow.
absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
And only one skein because it's so expensive. Do you know how expensive a skein of 100% Kiviot is?
No.
$220
What?
for 100 grams. So,
What?
So this has Kiviot in it,
Does it
but
have
it's
gold?
merino.
Does it have gold thread throughout?
So this is a more expensive price point on this yarn, but it's not 100% Kiviot. It's merino and some Kiviot in it, and but it's still expensive.
And Kiviot. Do people know Kiviot?
I don't know. Why don't we talk about Kiviot?
Tell me more.
Do you want to talk about Kiviot?
Yeah.
So Kiviot is
I know a little, but you know a lot.
so we get Kiviot from the north and the north of us, and because I guess to some people we're north, but it's the north of us. Like so, you can find Kiviot wherever you find muskox, and muskox are up in Nunavut, and they're in Alaska. But in Nunavut, they have more muskox per capita than anywhere else in the world.
Okay.
And-
Are there? Is it like? Where else would you find? I don't know anything about muskox. Would you find them elsewhere in the world, like Russia, maybe? Or-
I don't know exactly. I don't know. I was only
don't know
looking at
either.
it from a Canadian perspective.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is that Kiviot, the micron count, so it's soft, it's super, super soft. It is warmer than wool
Okay.
and softer than cashmere.
Softer than cashmere.
Yes.
Well, I know it's soft. I felt it, but
And yeah, we've had
we had a moment. We had an experience.
and it's also for those of you who are allergic to wool or have a difficulty with wool because there's oils in wool that some people are allergic to,
Might
like
be
lanolin and
sensitive
whatnot. Kiviot doesn't have any of that.
Okay.
So you might be able to wear expensive Kiviot yarn, but it's really nice. So anyway, back to Julie. So Julie gave her the assignment, and she came up with a beautiful, beautiful garment
With one skein. of
with
yarn.
one skein of yarn.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's going to be offered in two colors. One of them is like a dusty rose color.
Oh
It's-
yes,
it's
that's
beautiful.
a beautiful color.
And then another one is blue, and it looks really nice as well.
Okay.
So
And it's not going to be $1 million.
it's not going to be $1 million. No, there is Kiviot in it, and you can feel it.
You can feel it. It's softer than.
Oh, you might if you hold
I think
merino
anything that
in one hand, Kiviot in the other, and I mean the merino Kiviot is much softer. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Yeah, so I'm so excited about Knit City. I'm really excited about it, and we're going to be doing a store update on the same day.
We are.
Yeah, so we're going to
Okay.
be offering a whole bunch of new yarn. The Massam yarn with the BFL is going to be offered, and
Okay.
yeah, and then we've got some more striped yarn because we sold out of that pretty quickly. So we've got that, and we have some organic merino
Okay.
and Cordale as well. So lots of different bases and lots of different dyes. So I'm really excited about that.
Okay. And that's all part of Knit City.
That is all part of Knit City, and there are a lot of really good dyers there. So that'll be a lot of fun. And they've got classes.
And we had
whatnot.
a great time
It's so well
the
organized.
last time with Knit City the last time.
Yeah, it's really
We had a
really well
wonderful
organized.
time.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, because seeing the people face to face, that's what's great about it.
Yes.
See, well,
Well,
face to face.
well, camera to camera,
Virtually face to face.
computer to computer.
It's like seeing faces. We haven't seen faces in weeks.
Yeah. So, and we're on for an hour. We're on from 10 to 11.
Okay.
So you
I'm
have to
looking
wake
forward
up
to that.
early and put your face on and get ready for that
Okay.
on April 10th. So I just wanted to say thanks again for watching. Thank you again for all of the direction that you gave us on the sweater to
Yes.
choose for the knit along. Jamie feels like he's in good hands. Do you? speaking for you.
Except for my own hands, I'm sort of going. Anyway, one step at a time,
One
and
step at a
everybody can do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can as well.
And we would love to hear what you're working on this spring or what you plan to work on this spring, because we're always looking for good ideas and new ideas. So again, I just want to thank everyone for watching. We have a lot of fun doing this, and I love reading your comments. So take care, everyone.
We need more comments because that's usually our morning chat with our morning
It is.
tea and morning
It is.
coffee. Is we chat about all of you.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Thanks. Take care. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
See you next time.